Okay, now we're going to have everyone stand up, please, and we're going to have you pair up. Everyone can almost pair up except you two can pair up. You three pair up. You three try up, not pair up. I don't know how you. And so turn to somebody, and we're going to have you just observe the other person, and we're going to look at the other person's shoulders. Is one shoulder higher than the other? So tell the other person if one's higher than the other. So it's not uncommon that there will be a little difference. Sometimes there's huge differences. Sometimes if there's a huge difference, that's a huge distortion of the posture. If you have some shoulder pain or arthritis of the shoulders or something, tell the other person which one it is, and see if there's a correlation between which one's more painful and which is higher, which is lower. Okay, so does everyone know which side was higher?
Yeah.
This is another reason to get you up is so that after lunch you don't fall asleep. Because it happens all the time. I want by a raise of hands that the side that was higher is the same side that's painful. Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then raise your hand if it was the opposite side that's painful. So one side was high, but that wasn't the painful side. So it's about 50-50. So you cannot necessarily tell which side is bad. This has been my clinical experience too. You can't necessarily tell which side is painful just because it's high or lower. But we know that if it's high or lower, that's creating a postural distortion. It changes the way that the spine also works. And every time we get a muscle that's contracted, because we have blood flowing through the muscle, that decreases the flow of blood in that area. So up in the shoulder region, we have some very important arteries that feed the brain. And if you wear a tie or you had a rope around your neck too tight, what's going to happen? You'll choke, right? And it cuts the blood supply off, etc. So when your shoulders are too tight, if you walk around like this all day, it closes off the blood flow to the vertebral artery, which is it's an artery that goes from the heart up through the middle of the vertebral, the bones here, into the brain. That feeds 40% of the blood to the brain. Then we have this one. What's this one called? Carotid. Very good. The carotid artery goes up, and that carries 60% of the blood. It's a little less affected by shoulder tension. The vertebral arteries definitely. But even if you reduce the blood flow to your brain by half of the vertebral artery, that's 20% decrease in the oxygen and blood flowing to your brain. You think that might affect your function? Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's another reason why we want to make sure that our muscles aren't tight and blocking the flow of blood. Now, poor posture and restricted motion, did anyone have some restricted motion when they were doing these tests? Yeah. Well, these may be an indication of improper structural alignment of the body, and the improper structural alignment may be due to muscles being contracted on one side or the other, and from poor blood and poor oxygen circulation in the body. If you aren't getting enough blood and oxygen to certain tissues, they won't function as well, and then they can contract up as a result. Proper circulation is very necessary for the normal functioning of the body, for normal range of motion, and for repair of the joints. You think you need to get enough blood to areas for them to heal? Absolutely. So if the blood is restricted, then you can't heal as well, and you can't heal as quickly, and you may also get some brain fog, some fatigue during the day. Now I'd like you to take a look at your survey again that you filled out. So this is called the Stress and Arthritis Survey. So the symptoms that we have on here are related not only to arthritis and joint pain, but to stress. Sometimes there's an overlap between the two. But the 7 primary symptoms of stress include fatigue, pain anywhere in your body, headaches and migraines, irritability, insomnia or sleep problems, digestive trouble, and allergies. Anyone check off 2 or 3 of those, of that list? Yeah. So definitely if you have 2 or more, stress is probably affecting you. And I don't know if anyone here experiences stress in their life. Anyone? Have any stress in your life?
I cannot sleep. I cannot sleep at night.
You can't sleep either at night because of stress? Oh. Tightness in the shoulder, yeah. So again, insomnia, tightness, or pain in any part in the body is a stress response, or it might be. So if you're having that, there are a variety of different ways that you can be assisted in reducing those responses in the body. One of those ways is to restore proper circulation in your body, increasing the range of motion, proper nutrition, having the proper diet, and exercising too. Now, how many people have heard of chondroitin sulfate and glucosamine sulfate? Yeah. So recent studies have shown that supplements containing glucosamine and chondroitin sulfate can play a major role in the treatment of arthritis by actually repairing and rebuilding the protective cartilage in the joints, because those are some of the building blocks. Now, there are different sources. Some companies actually have a better product than others. You have to have the sulfate type. Sometimes you'll see glucosamine hydrochloride, glucosamine HCl. That is not the ones that have been studied. That's a very cheap version. The sulfur part of that compound is very important for connective tissue and building connective tissue. So if you are taking that, it should be glucosamine sulfate and chondroitin sulfate. There are other supplements that also have been shown to help arthritis because of their anti-inflammatory properties and also to help with circulation. And I have those written up here on the slide, so I'm not going to cover those. All right, I'll cover them because you can't see the slide. All right, vitamins A, C, and E, and the mineral selenium help to reduce properties in the blood known as free radicals. And those can damage joint tissues. There's also fish oils that are high in omega-3 fatty acids. They can also ease the symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis. Now, the omega-3 fatty acids come from deep water fish, typically. Also can come from krill. But these omega-3 fatty acids have various subcomponents in them. One is called EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, and that has more of the anti-inflammatory properties. The DHA has a little bit of that, but actually DHA is found in very high amounts in our brain cells. 50% of the neurons, the nerve cells in our brain and nervous system, 50% of that is DHA. So when you're looking at these things, you want to see there's typically a normal ratio of 3 parts to 2 parts of the EPA to DHA. That's the usual natural ratio. If you're looking at supplements that just say omega-3 fatty acids, you have no idea what the composition is. Avoid that. Because you don't even know if you're getting EPA or DHA in it, or how much is in there. So it might be really cheap, but things are cheap because they're low quality. High quality items, for example, omega-3 fatty acids, absolutely you have to choose a company that when it receives, because most companies aren't going out and doing the fishing themselves, and they aren't, they are getting the oil from a manufacturer somewhere, and that oil, each batch has to be tested independently at an independent lab to make sure that there's no heavy metals in it. Heavy metals are toxic to your brain and nervous system. If you're taking DHA to help your brain and you're taking in mercury or lead, that's you're defeating the purpose. You know, it's like, okay, I think today I'm going to drink a little bit of mercury along with my omega-3s. It doesn't make any sense. So it has to be a company that actually has independent labs doing that. And so if it doesn't say that, or you don't know the company does that, then you contact them. You find out if they have independent labs, test each batch. The only places that, in my clinic, the only places I use their products are if they have that independent lab thing, and they can send it to me on that batch. Heavy metals, pesticides, other chemicals of that nature have to be out of that, because those are fat-soluble chemicals. If you took DDT, everyone heard of DDT? Or dioxin, and you took some of that and you had a glass of oil and you had a glass of water, and you put some in each one. It's going to dissolve in the oil but not in the water. If you get it in your body, it's more likely to be stored in the fat cells of your body because it dissolves there. In order to get it out of your body, your liver has to change it from fat-soluble to water-soluble form. And the liver has a long to-do list. It has a to-do list to change sugars, to store sugars, to change sugars into fats, to change protein into carbohydrates if necessary. It has to clear the body of toxins. It has a lot of it has to make cholesterol. 70% of the cholesterol in your body is made by our livers because we have to have cholesterol. In your lecture notes here, probably close in the very back, did you get some? On this back page, you can see it says cholesterol. You just flip over this big packet and it's on the back. Cholesterol. And you can see how cholesterol goes down into these other, it says pregnenolone and it says all steroids. So this over to the right-hand side is a little more detailed of the different hormones that cholesterol is converted into. Now, in this population, in the audience today, you're probably very familiar with estradiol and estriol, the forms of estrogen. You probably know what testosterone is. You probably know what cortisol is. Cortisol is the adrenal gland hormone. And you've probably heard of cortisone. Cortisol is the natural chemical that our body produces when we're under stress, and also if we're fasting. It helps to pull sugar out of the cells. Cortisol does. If you're under stress, then you're going to have more sugar going into your bloodstream, and that can cause your body's response to produce more insulin. So you can actually tax your pancreas if you're under stress a lot. That's why they say that diabetes is an inflammatory condition, because so much sugar in the bloodstream causes insulin to be pulled out, and that's a pro-inflammatory situation. So at any rate, cholesterol is made in the liver, and it has to be there in order to get the different hormones that we need in our body. So that's one of the liver's jobs. It's got a lot of jobs, but another job, sorry about that, another job is to clear toxins out of the body. And it's